Go.
All right, this is Hudson and Sampson's Roadmap to Success video, and drop, good boy. And I want to first mention that we want to work on helping the dogs get along with each other. So the first thing that we did was the leadership exercise. I want you to practice this with both dogs. Remember, you want to do this one dog at a time. Make that one of the dogs be in another room or outside, because if you have both of them together, they will start to compete for the treat with each other, and that's not the goal of the exercise. So do the leadership exercise once a day with both dogs if possible, and then do that for at least the next 2 weeks, and then start weaning off of it. But you don't want to just stop cold. Make sure that you're still working on this slowly, like a couple times a week. I personally, with my dogs, I still do this once a month. If the dogs start taking longer than about 5 minutes to do this exercise, you want to increase how much you're doing it. So if you get to a point where you're only doing it once a month, and they start taking longer and longer, increase how often you're doing it until they start doing this exercise faster. This will help them look to you as a leader instead of kind of trying to figure out for themselves who's in that leadership position amongst each other. So if you're the clear leader in the house, they don't have to try to make those decisions amongst each other. So that's the purpose of that, and I want you to practice that as much as you can for the next couple of weeks. The next thing is to really focus on working on getting the dogs to redirect their attention to you. You can practice this again outside in the yard or wherever in the house if they start playing rough, or you start to see them in their body posture getting really stiff and rigid. Those are, as you know, clear body language signs that they are about to get in a disagreement, or it's potentially likely that they are going to have a disagreement with each other. So in those instances, grab some treats out and call them over. I want you to, can you see Sampson in the video? I just want to see, if I say his name Sampson, he's kind of fine. Now keep watching him when I say, Sampson! See how quickly he looks over at me? Good boy. So if you need to, and even though it goes against your, your better instincts that in the moment, use a high-pitched voice. It's more likely to get them really excitable and to redirect their attention on you. So if you need their attention, use that high-pitched voice. Do whatever you can to get them to break. Whichever dog comes over to you first, give them that treat first, so you're motivating them to compete for good behavior and coming running over to you. The next thing to remind you to do, good boy. The next thing that you want to do is when you're feeding them, I want you to do what you've been typically doing, but with one added part. Before you let Hudson out of his room that he's eating in, I want you to ask him to sit, and then put him in a sit stay for maybe, count in your head to at least 5 to 10 seconds. That way you're teaching him a little self-control, and when he comes out, he's not so hyped up. He's gaining self-control, and then he'll let him walk out. When he walks out, it's going to help reduce tension between the dogs, because he'll bring calmer energy into the room instead of that high, like tightly wound energy. So start having him do more of that sit stay, and to help him gain that self-control. If you want to, we worked on the going for a structured walk with Sampson right before we shot this video. And if you go to dogonproblems.com, click on dog training tips, in the search bar type in the word structured walk. You can see a bunch of videos, tutorials about the rules for the structured walk and all that type of good stuff. So there's a bunch of videos there, so you can refer to that. Remember, in the beginning stages, this is a privilege to go for the walk, so you don't want him to be all over the place smelling and marking and things like that. Try to give him a potty break before you start the walk. That way, if he has to go to the bathroom, he can. And then as he gets better and better on the walk, you can give him more freedom back, so he can start smelling around more and things like that. So it's not, this isn't supposed to be permanent where he doesn't get to smell as much forever. This is just to break him of the habit of pulling. Remember, as you pull straight up on the lead, because that will engage his opposition reflex to not pull forward or backwards. If anything, he might lean down, but that's not a big deal. You just don't want to, you want to prevent him from leaning forward. So again, you kind of want to stop him before he goes much farther than the front of your shoes, because if he does go farther than your shoes, when you pull, you're technically pulling backwards, which he'll lean into that pressure. So again, try to keep him right next to you, so when you pull, you're pulling straight up. It won't engage his opposition reflex in the same way, and it's going to help teach him to walk on a nice loose leash. All right, and then last, I want to remind you that everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.